as I was walking into the theater that I would see Aliens in for the first time, I came across this huge cardboard cutout for an upcoming movie on the floor. And the cutout mainly resembled a beehive, or what a beehive traditionally looks like in media. Only it wasn't a beehive. It was something I would later come to find out it would be called a telepod. And the cardboard cutout was for a movie called The Fly, or the remake of the 1958 classic The Fly. Now, I had heard of the original Fly just a few months earlier before I came across this cardboard cutout. And I was very, very interested in the concept. Like, I remember getting this book from, it was from school. It was like the school library, and it was about horror films, classic horror films. And one of the films they talked about was The Fly. And I remember seeing an image from The Fly, this man with this huge giant fly head. I'm like, man, I just gotta see that movie. And I would eventually see The Fly actually that year, the original Fly. I asked for the remake though, even though I had seen nothing more than this cutout. Didn't see a commercial, didn't see a trailer of the film at that point. I was super excited to see this movie. But it would take me 2 years to eventually see The Fly. I had hoped to have seen The Fly during its initial run at the theaters. I remember later on that year, The Fly was like packaged with Aliens as a double feature, and I remember so desperately wanting to see that, like a chance to see Aliens again for the second time in the theaters, and to see The Fly for the first time in the theaters. But the first time I would watch The Fly would be on VHS. The performance by the lead, Jeff Goldblum, in this film is absolutely legendary. He's played a lot of great roles since he played Seth Brundle in this movie. You got Jurassic Park, he got Deep Cover, you got, numerous other roles that Jeff Goldblum has shined in, but he's never shined brighter than in this film. Like, this role he has in this film is this character, Seth Brundle, is one of the greatest characters ever in all of creation. Like, I love this character. I love how endearingly quirky he is and odd he is. But I just love how intelligent he is and how bold he is. But he also is a bit reckless, and his recklessness unfortunately gets him into some serious trouble. But yeah, he's just a great all-around character, and I just can't talk enough about Seth Brundle. He is definitely a character for the cinematic ages. Another awesome lead performance in this film is from Gina Davis, and I believe this is the first time I've ever seen Gina Davis in any type of role. And she's just fantastic in this role as Ronnie. I love how she's not the typical girlfriend or love interest that you see in pretty much most of films. She is definitely, just like Brundle, a complex and layered character, a memorable character, and it's just it's my personal favorite performance from Gina Davis, and she's played a lot of great performances as well, but she definitely shines to me the brightest here in this movie. John Getz also delivers another memorable performance in this film. Like, he starts off as this really off-putting, stalkerish asshole who you do not like in the beginning. But then by the end of the movie, you're just totally rooting for this guy and feel sorry for this guy. Like, his fate at the end of this movie is something. And yeah, there's just shows the testament of really well done acting. If you take a character who you totally despise or at least do not like in the beginning, and then switch your opinion to be totally in their corner by the end. The direction of this film by David Cronenberg is simply masterful. This is the first movie I had seen from David Cronenberg, though it wasn't the first work I had seen from David Cronenberg. Earlier that year, I had seen an episode that he had directed, one of my favorite TV shows of all time, Friday the 13th, the series. And that was the episode that actually got me hooked into this series. So I knew the greatness of David Cronenberg even before I saw The Fly, even before I knew who he was. The way how he helms this really moving, but also macabre and disturbing tale is cinematic craftsmanship at its finest. I love other works of David Cronenberg, like Videodrome, scanners, and particularly the Dead Zone. But The Fly is the greatest of them all. Every aspect of this movie, from the incredible art direction to the profoundly moving score by Howard Shore, is top notch, including the element of this story that disturbed me the most: those unforgettable, grisly, grotesque, great effects and makeup by Chris Walas. The makeup and special effects in this movie ranks right up there with the best of the best, like John Carpenter's The Thing and George Romero's Day of the Dead. The grotesque and grand makeup and effects in this film has the distinction to be the very first movie to make me retch when I saw them on screen. It's funny, the first time I watched The Fly, I did find the special effects and the makeup to be really icky and gross and all that stuff, but my stomach wasn't churning. And I didn't do that the second time I watched The Fly. But then when I watched The Fly on television on Fox 5, where it was censored, but they did keep most of the like nasty stuff intact, in terms of like, you know, being unedited. I can't remember which scene no, I do remember the scene. It was a scene where after like he goes, you know, more human than I am alone, when he's talking to Ronnie in terms of this plan he has to conjoin him, Ronnie, and their child all together as one in the telepod machine. And then, you know, Gina Davis pulls off his jaw, and then his from that point forward his face starts disintegrating. Yeah, all of a sudden, like, I just bleh. When I saw that, and Fox 5, like, they edited a number of things from that broadcast, but they didn't edit that. Like, most of the nasty stuff that happened to Seth was, like I said, it remained intact. And yeah, like, I didn't actually feel any vomit in my throat, but I definitely retched. Yeah, like, I had done that before, and I'd done that one other time with a film, and that was when I saw Lucio Fulci Zombie some years later. But yeah, those effects, that makeup, after all these decades, it still holds up. Like, I think it's flawless. Like, I can't see any seams or anything like that. You know, maybe I'm not looking hard enough, but the makeup effects still hold up, you know, amazingly well. And that's thanks to Chris Walas and, you know, and other contributors, you know, who worked really hard to pull off this amazing feat of FX and makeup. The two elements that resonate with me the most is the horror and the heart of this movie. The movie works brilliantly well as a horror tale. Maybe not what people normally think of as horror, as like, you know, being scary, you know, that type of thing. Because The Fly isn't particularly scary, but then The Fly wasn't meant to be scary. The Fly is horror in terms of revulsion, horror in terms of despair, and there are few movies that match the intensity of this film when it comes to horror. Like, this is a truly horrific situation. Like, this situation, like, this situation just like scares the shit out of me. Like, being in Seth Brundle's shoes after a certain point in this movie. Like, once that transformation begins, like, man, it's a grueling experience like nothing else I've seen in cinema. Like, the way how it's just, it doesn't rush through the horror. It takes its time to get through the horror of what's happening to his body, what's happening to his mind, what's happening to his life, how he is literally falling apart slowly. But he is also at the same time transforming into something else, into something never seen before. And there's definitely like a really intriguing aspect to that. Like, one part of you is like really revolted by what's happening to him, but another part of you is, you know, really fascinated by what's happening to him. This is just true horror right here. Like, you know, having your body going ahead and doing what it's not supposed to do. yeah, I can't think of in terms of something that happens to oneself. Like everything about you, from your body, your mind, your spirit, um, just vanishing, you know, bit by bit by bit by bit, and there's nothing you can do about it. In terms of eternal experience, I can't think of anything in regards to happens to oneself, anything worse than that. Out of all of the impactful things that The Fly has impressed onto me, is its ending, its conclusion, is just, whoo, that ending. I remember first time seeing that ending, I'm like, it just felt like I've been obliterated, like emotionally. Like I don't know. It's just something, that ending. Like it's just totally is unforgettable. Like I'm trying to come up with another word, but it is undeniably unforgettable. The way how it just quickly just fades to black. Like most of everything out there, movies, TV, whatnot, when something really messed up happens on screen, and not even to say like messed up and traumatic, like once you get like that crescendo, that high point of emotion in the climax or in the ending, like they will almost always have like a little bit of, I don't know if I would say epilogue, but like a scene right after to like allow audiences like to ease down, to catch a breath and all that. Like, we can't end on a extreme high point of emotion, particularly if it's like a really like heavy emotion. We gotta allow the audience, to breathe, to relax, not the fly. The fly's like, nope. We're gonna punch you right in the gut. We're gonna kick you right in the teeth, and then we're just gonna go ahead and fade to black. That's it. No buffer, no chaser, no any of that. We're just gonna go ahead and go boom. Now what? Credits roll, go home. Like The Fly is just brutal in that way. I remember I had my mom had seen the ending to The Fly, and after like Gina Davis does what she does in the end, after she gives Seth Brundle peace, and it just cuts to black, and my mom was like, "That's it." Like, and I've seen other people at that same reaction, like, "That's it." Like, there's not more, or it's gonna end on that messed up note. We're not gonna get like, like I said, something to soften the blow with like maybe, a 1 minute scene showing she's doing better, or just something. And the thing was, originally there was supposed to be a scene like that, or at least the possibility of a scene like that. There was a scene that was shot, and I found out about this years later, that by watching the Fly DVD, they had like this, one of the greatest like behind the scenes making of a film, and they were talking about how at least one of the original endings for The Fly was supposed to be we cut to like, I don't know, months later, and I think Gina Davis is pregnant, like she's showing at this point, and she's in a bedroom, and she's in bed, or she gets in bed, like just simply lying in bed, not anything more than that, with Stathis. It's like, what? Like, was this guy her ex? I understand, like, he literally lost, his hand and his foot saving her, but they're a couple again? So that threw me off. And then, like, it was just the tone of the scene was just so happy. It was just the absolute reverse of the tragic ending that we all know. And the way it was shot, it felt like surreal. It felt almost like a fantasy, like a dream. And the scene ended with like, I think she goes to sleep and she's dreaming of her unborn child, like in the womb. And this scene also is like, this scene is definitely surreal and like fantasy like. I didn't like that ending. The ending sucked. It didn't fit tonally with the film. It didn't fit visually with the film. Jeff Goldblum on the documentary was talking about how he heard that they were going to use this ending, and he got really upset. Like, no, you cannot use this ending. Like, it needs to end, the tragic way. And like, he called David Cronenberg, like, and told Dave, like, what is this? Like, you can't use this ending. And I'm paraphrasing here, but he was like really upset that they were even considering using this ending. And David, reassured him like, we're not going to use it. We're not going to use it. At least I think I remember that's what the conversation with. But basically, of course, David didn't use it, and Jeff was really relieved, and I'm relieved after the fact that they didn't do that. That would have been terrible. That would have been terrible. It would have never made The Fly terrible, but it would have made the ending to The Fly terrible. Like, that just does not work. And I'm glad we have the ending that we end up with. I love all kinds of horror films, but to me, The Fly is another perfect example of what my favorite type of horror is. Horror that is grotesque, horror that is deeply disturbing, and horror that is also sincere, that is also heartfelt and moving. There's nothing else for me to say but to say I absolutely adore this story.